Creamy potato soup? Yes please. Now this recipe is awesome for a number of reasons, but one of the things I like most about this recipe is you don't need a whole lot of ingredients to make this recipe. In fact, you probably have 90% of the stuff, if not all of it, in your kitchen already. To get started, we're going to need one medium sweet yellow onion with a small to medium dice on that onion. Then we're going to add that onion to a bowl, and that's pretty much the only veggie we're going to have to prep. See, super easy. Unless you count the garlic, but there's really not much to that. We're just going to peel it and then we're just going to crush it later. Next up on the prep list, we have some thick cut smoked bacon. Now, regular bacon will work fine if you don't have the thick cut. Now, we're going to need about 6 slices of that bacon, and basically all we're going to do is cut it into little tiny pieces. With your bacon cut, you can set that to the side for now. We only got a few more things to do. This recipe actually comes together pretty quick. Now, let's talk about potatoes. I got 2.5 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. Now, Yukon Gold potatoes, they're not too starchy, not too waxy. They have a nice buttery taste and a nice creamy texture when you mash them, which is why they're also good for mashed potatoes. But today we're going to be using them in our potato soup. So first order of business is peeling all of your potatoes. A little time consuming, but this is probably the part in the recipe that's going to take up the most time, honestly. Next, we are going to cut our potatoes into some nice sized chunks, and you want roughly all the same sizes so that they cook evenly. Also, you want a nice bite-sized piece. I wouldn't cut them too small and I wouldn't cut them too big, because later we are going to blend half of our soup. So the half that's not blended, those potatoes, whatever size they are, that's the size they're going to be in your finished soup. So I'd make them not too small, but not too big. Then we are going to add our potatoes to a bowl full of cold water. Take those over to the sink and wash them a couple of times until that water is clear. Over at the stove, we got our trusty heavy bottom pot over medium heat. Once it's nice and hot, we're going to add our bacon, take our wooden spoon and start breaking apart those pieces that are all sticking together. And we're going to continue cooking our bacon for about 5 to 7 minutes until it is nice and crispy, golden brown. At this point, you can remove your bacon to some paper towels to dry. Now, it's okay if you want to snack on a few of these pieces. It's totally acceptable. However, some of them we are going to save a little bit for our topping, for our garnish later when our soup is done, but most of it is going to go back into the soup later on. Now, as you can see, you're going to have a lot of bacon grease left in your pan. I'm not going to tell you what to do. However, I am going to drain a good bit of this off, about 90% of it. With most of my bacon grease drained and my pan back over medium heat, I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of butter. And once our butter is mostly melted, I'm adding in our chopped onions, and we're going to start cooking these onions down about 5 minutes. Now we're going to add a whole bunch of seasonings later on, so I'm not going to add too much right now. However, I'm just going to add in some cracked black pepper, and I'm not adding salt because we're going to have plenty of saltiness from the bacon, and we still have some of that bacon grease left in there too, so I'm just going to add the pepper right now. Mix in that pepper, and we're going to continue sweating these onions down, like I said, about 5 minutes. Once our onions are nice golden brown and smelling amazing, we are going to crush in that garlic, stir that up and cook that for about a minute. Then we're adding in 1/3 cup of flour, stir that in and cook that for about a minute. And I just want to point out that the full recipe, description, and amounts will be in the description below. If you're liking the video so far, give me a thumbs up. And if you're new around here or not, be sure to subscribe. Then we're adding in 4 cups of chicken broth, 2 cups of whole milk, 2/3 cup of heavy cream, and a blend of spices, which will also be in the description below. Give everything a stir to combine. Then we're adding in our potatoes. We're bringing this to a boil, and then we're going to boil this for about 10 to 15 minutes until those potatoes are fork tender. Next, you're either going to need a blender or an immersion blender like this. If you're using a blender, you're going to want to remove it from the heat, maybe let it cool down for a few minutes. Then carefully, working in batches if you have to, you're going to want to remove about half of it, about 5 cups of your soup. Add that to your blender, carefully blend it on low speed until it is nice and smooth, then add it back to your soup. If you're using the immersion blender like I am, you're going to want to eyeball it and carefully blend about half of your soup. Once your soup is blended, turn off the heat. We're going to add the remaining of our bacon bits, and we're going to mix in 2/3 cup of sour cream. Give that all a mix, make sure everything is all well combined. Then after everything is all well combined, put your heat back on low and let this simmer gently for about 10 minutes. After that 10 minutes is up, I want you to kill the heat completely, remove your soup from the heat and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. This is going to give that soup time to thicken up. It's going to make everything come together and it's going to be beautiful. After that, our soup is ready to serve. I'm going to do a sprinkle of some sharp cheddar cheese and some Vermont white cheddar cheese. Some of our chopped bacon that we cooked before that you hopefully set aside. A nice little dollop of some whipped cream. And lastly, a sprinkle of some freshly chopped chives. And that's it. Our potato soup is done, ready to serve, ready to be eaten, ready to do whatever you want to do with it, honestly. All things considered, this is probably one of the best soups I've ever made. Truly delicious, scrumptious. It looked amazing. It tastes even better than it looks. I'm definitely going to be making this again. All right, everyone, that's it for me. That's it for this video. That's it from me in this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and I'll see you in the next video. And I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you for watching. Thanks a lot.